Alright, so this video is bound to cause some controversy because it's been very hotly contested among Twitter users, especially Boston Twitter users. So let's go ahead. So Kyrie, I can't find the full quote actually. I was trying to find it, but I couldn't. But pretty much he said, hopefully we can just keep it strictly basketball, no subtle racism and stuff like that. Like he was pretty much calling out Boston fans for being racist. And naturally, that brought out some victim complex in Boston fans, as we can see right here, I believe. Um, yeah. So let's just look at this. All right. Kendrick Perkins said that an 8.5. Oh, first of all, actually, yeah. Let's also talk about this. When asked if he had experienced racism at TD Garden before, Kyrie said, "I'm not the only one who could attest to this, but it is what it is. The whole world knows it." And I'm pretty sure he did say, for the matter, he did say that he himself didn't experience any racism, but I think he also said that like he knows some teammates. I don't know if he named them, but I'm pretty sure he said some of his teammates when he was in Boston did treat him with like some racism. So and now let's this quote, and then so the replies of this were like absolutely terrible. So so this guy, this guy says Kendrick Perkins just said that in 8.5 years of living and playing here, he never experienced any kind of racial comments. He also said he came back with OKC and Cleveland, and also didn't experience anything. Kyrie's being manipulative and narcissistic, all about him. That's just not true. Boston fans are notoriously racist. Very like that's a lot. That's a big part of their identity. Like Boston Jazz fans have been like but yeah, Boston and Jazz fans are notoriously racist fan bases. Let's scroll down. This guy says cities like St. Louis are literally segregated cities, but sure, let's keep pushing that Boston is America's racist city. Like, is it because it's expected in other places? And wow, okay. And then this guy says Chicago is no different. In fact, Chicago has ranked as most segregated city in the world and was the only place MLK could not finish the march due to the extreme violence. My daughter just moved to Boston, and I've heard its demographic is changing. Uh, yeah, so being from Chicago, I can say, yes, sure, you can say the city's segregated, right? I'm not going to dispute that claim. Same, I've never been to St. Louis. Sure, St. Louis could also be segregated. But it's not about the actual cities themselves. It's about how the fans treat the players. Like, I'm gonna pull up an article real quick. This isn't about the Celtics specifically, but it is about the Red Sox, which is also a Boston team. So let me just pull that up real quick. Yeah, so as you can see here, the literal Red Sox organization acknowledged racism in Fenway Park is real. They promised action. I don't know what happened with that action, but we can see this. Former Major League outfielder Torrey Hunter told ESPN's Golick and Wingo that he did everything he could not to go to Boston. He even added a no trade clause to the Red Sox only, inserted into any contract, because he's been called the N word in Boston 100 times. So that's that article literally proves, like, yeah, sure, Boston may be a diverse city or whatever. Soul Protector here is trying to say, and Mason Tatum here is trying to say, but that doesn't change the fact that the fans themselves are racist. You can I don't get why people are trying to use that argument. Like, there is clear evidence for Boston fans being racist. And then I believe this has a quote. Yeah. So this is the quote that Kyrie originally said. Hopefully we can just keep it strictly basketball, no belligerence or subtle racism and people yelling stuff from the crowd. Even if it is, it's part of the nature of the game. So, yeah. So if we go to and yeah, I'll show you. Like, people are saying, I saw some people also saying that like um I saw some people saying that like that like Kyrie has been like treated nothing but good from the fans until he said like he wants to leave, which I think is true, or until he left because he said like he wanted to stay or whatever. So here, yeah. Some FU Kyrie chants here at TD Garden late in this one. Also some "We Want Taco" chants. So I guess it just depends on what kind of person you are. This tweet was posted, I believe, during the play-in game, right? This is when the Celtics knew they were going to be playing the Nets in the playoffs, I think, because like that's pretty much when like the Celtics had the Wizards Celtics game in the bag. But still, like you could see there's a belligerence there against Kyrie even before Kyrie even came into the TD Garden, right? That's what I'm talking about. Like, sure, you can argue that like Boston, the racism in Boston, or there is no racism in Boston, or there's no Boston fans aren't displaying any racism, which isn't true, by the way. Like I just proved. But you can clearly like just look at if you look at this, you can't not or sorry if you look at this, you can't not say that there's some belligerence towards him. And I know like some people are gonna like take this too far. I'm just gonna go down this replies as well. He knows well that it happens at every single arena. I can guarantee stuff like this doesn't happen in the United Center. Like I went to like you can go to or even like for example like let's say you remember if you're a Bears fan, you know like how in Damakong So when he played for the Lions, like he like pretty much just like he played extremely dirty. I remember this one time he like literally jumped on Jay Cutler's arm, right? Stuff like that. You're never gonna hear slurs yelled at or you're never gonna hear any Bears fan call or yeah you're never gonna hear any Bears fan call Ndamukong Suh a slur, no matter how bad or what he did or the severity of whatever stuff he did, right? It does this type of stuff doesn't happen at every single arena. This stuff has literally notoriously happened at the Celtics with the Celtics and the Jazz fan bases. I know players have experienced racism here in Boston. It's disgusting and embarrassing, but Kyrie said he never experienced racism here as a Celtic or an opponent. For him to use that card to deflect from the game is truly sad. If he really experienced it, then I apologize. That sentence makes me so mad. That's like for him to use that card. Like I said, yikes. Like I said, he quite literally he literally said that he's seen racism occur. Like and it's not even like if you look at the quote, right, he just says like it's part of the nature of the game. So he's not even like saying like he's gonna be like mad or whatever. He's just saying like he really doesn't want it to happen, but even if it happens, he's like anticipating it, right? Like I don't know. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, I mean, I've seen this argument a lot about how, like, from a guy who told a sold-out Garden that he wanted to sign back here and loved playing in Boston, sure seems like he's trying to twist things. He knows he's going to be booed for the terrible leader he was when he was here, his lack of integrity, professionalism, and total disregard to others. Me. That's what I don't get. Like, people are saying that, like, Kyrie is calling Boston racist because of his narcissism or something. But again, like, we can see here, Boston is a notoriously racist fan. Not a racist city, but the fans at Boston are notoriously racist. Let's word it like that, because people were making that argument about him. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's about it. Yeah. Like, this is what I get, right? Like, people are bound to be mad about how he left Boston, right? But I'm seeing people, like, literally defend racism here. Like, if we scroll up, this guy, right? Literally defending racism towards Kyrie because of how he left. Like, I get there's going to be some belligerence, right? Like, for example, like, again, I'm going to go back to the Bears. Like, Alshon Jeffrey, when he left the Bears and went to the Eagles, the first thing he did, like, after he won the Super Bowl was just talk about, like, how bad of an organization the Bears were when, like, the Bears fans treated him with nothing but love when he was here. So, naturally, when Alshon Jeffrey came back to Chicago, I think the only time he did was during the double doink game, which... But naturally, when like something like that happens, of course the fans are going to treat you with some disrespect, right? Or like, for example, the whole like Astros cheating scandal. You're seeing like Dodgers players like getting mad at Astros players because you're seeing Dodgers fans get mad at the Astros everything, right? It's stuff like that which I'm talking about. But yeah, it's like that type of stuff makes sense, that's just a matter of the game. But like I'm seeing people like genuinely defend racism and like slurs and stuff because of how this guy left, because of how Kyrie left. Just scroll past that. It's just so oh yeah. Call me what you want. I never liked or wanted this dude. I had two friends from Ohio literally warned me. He's amazing on the court, but he's absolutely nuts. Kyrie, yeah, it's race, right? That's what I'm talking about. Like, that's what I really don't like. Like, you guys are literally defending racism or saying, like, Kyrie's lying about the racism in Boston for absolutely no... you're saying that he's lying about the racism in Boston. Racism found in Boston fans when, like, it's pretty well documented that racism is a big problem with Boston fans. And that's pretty much why I made this video. Like, it just made me mad how people are like subtly defending racism. I may sound like completely unhinged here, but this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people like genuinely defend racism against Kyrie because of how he left, or like people are saying that Kyrie's lying about racism encountered in Boston because of how he left, and like he wants to deflect the attention away from him. And again, I'm sorry to keep on like quoting this same article again and again, but you're quite literally having like, sure, it's a different sport, but it's going to be the same for most sports, right? You're literally having a player have a no trade clause to only one team, the Boston Red Sox, because of like how because of like racism given from the fans, happened from little kids, and grown-ups right next to them didn't say anything. And if you have the literal team, like talk about like it says here, if you doubt him because you've never heard it yourself, take it from us, it happens. You're having the literal Red Sox admit that like the fans are racist. The fans are like yelling racist taunts at players. You just can't deny that. Like the Red Sox literally said, yeah, sure, you may say, people may argue that like we don't believe Torrey Hunter because we've never seen it happen. The Red Sox themselves are saying this stuff. Like, this just proves like, you can't deny that there's no racism in Boston fans. I admit, like, yes, there's going to be, I'll admit, yes, there's like some reason for like some type of like belligerence or anger coming from the Boston fans towards Kyrie in the matter of how he left, right? Telling the Boston fans that he's coming back and then just signing with the Nets the next year. That makes sense. That makes complete sense, Fans are entitled to be mad. Fans are entitled to be like, to air their grievances, I guess, in a chant like, F you Kyrie people were chanting, or F you Kyrie people were chanting at the Wizards game. That completely makes sense. Like, similar to like the F you trade chants that came from the Knicks in game 1 against the Hawks. That makes sense. But the moment you're like using that as an excuse to justify racism and like call, and of course we haven't seen this happen yet, right? So this is all like purely speculative, but just denying the fact that like Boston fans are generally racist is just completely ignorant. And yeah, I mean, that's all I want to make this video about. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm sure if Boston fans find this video, I'm going to get hate on this one, just like if Philly fans find my last video about the Westbrook popcorn incident, I'm going to get hate on that one. But I just want to speak my mind. I mean, it just made me really mad how like people were like genuinely denying that like there's racism, where like this article that I have up is like the Red Sox are literally saying they've seen racism in Fenway. But yeah, I mean, that's about it. If you made it this long, thanks for listening. It's just kind of me ranting for 13 minutes, so yeah, I'll see you. Bye.